righty. So
It sounds like we're ready to go today. This is the Providence City Administrative Land Use Authority. It is Wednesday, August 16th, 2023, about 2:05 p.m. We're in the Providence City Office Building at 164 North Gateway Drive. We're excusing Max Pierce today, Rob Stapley, our Public Works Director, and I'm Scarlett Bankhead. We are in attendance. We also have Ryan Snow, our City Manager, Ty Cameron, our City Recorder, Diane Campbell, our Zoning Specialist, and Aaron Walker from the Fire Marshal's Office. We've also excused Colton Love, our Stormwater Technician today. He's out of town as well. We have actually, Andrew, are you the lead on this as far as your team is concerned?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to take just a second and introduce each member on your team, what the role is?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. So the applicant Chick-fil-A is not able to join today. They're actually out. They had scheduled PTO this week that couldn't make it. But the three people on our call on our side, we all represent the applicant as a consultant. So we work at a company called 4G Development, myself as the lead, and then Jeremiah and Kevin are also on our team as colleagues to help us through the process and moving through building permits.
Okay, thank you. And you received a copy of the staff report, correct? Diane?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I believe so. I'm going to pull it up, but yes, I did.
Okay, we are going to start with, well, I guess I need to introduce the agenda item. We have one item on our agenda today. It's a commercial site plan. Providence City Administrative Land Use Authority will consider for approval a commercial site plan for Chick-fil-A located at 38 South Gateway Drive in Providence, Utah. And Diane, I'll have you come up and give your report, please.
Okay, this application was received on August 1st, 2023. Rob Stapley did his public works inspection, and it was signed on April 16th. Aaron Walker, fire inspector, reviewed the site, and we have a letter from him dated April 9th, 2023. Change those dates. All right, so findings of fact. The following Providence City codes listed are considered: 1085, which is commercial zone districts, site development, and number 2, official zoning map revised in March of 2021. I think we have one in June of 2022, so I need to change that. Conclusions of law. The property is located in a CHD zone. Is that so correct? Okay. The applicant meets requirements of 1085 with the following conditions. The applicant will continue to meet all relevant federal, state, county, and Providence City rules, laws, codes, and ordinances. The applicant will provide cost estimates for site development, including but not limited to landscaping. I think we've already done that. And approval by the city of any application or paperwork submitted does not alleviate the owner and/or their agents from their responsibilities to understand and conform to local, state, and federal laws. Providence City's approval is not intended to and cannot be construed to allow any laws to be violated.
Thank you. Andrew, do you or anybody on your team have any questions about that report?
No, that was very straightforward. Thank you.
All righty. Aaron, do you want to take just a minute and review your summary?
Well, Andrew, Aaron Walker, Fire Department. So at this point in the review process, we look at a couple pretty basic things as far as fire department vehicle access, which is sufficient as the site plan was submitted. We look at the number of required and the number of hydrants within the proper distance, which the hydrants are fine as they're placed, with one exception I wrote down on the back of under the notes on the last page there. With a sprinkler building, we have to have a fire hydrant within 100 feet of the fire department connection, the FDC. And depending on how the building sprinkler system is laid out, the hydrants that are there could work. So keep that in mind with your planning going forward. That's obviously a delayed submittal type thing with the building plans. And the last thing was the water for fire flow, which is fine down there as far as the building that size. So at this point in time, we didn't really have a lot of concerns unless there's something we missed or something for you to add.
So Andrew, do you have any questions for Aaron?
I don't think so. I just wanted to make sure I understood the comment about the FDC location. You first had mentioned some distance, 150 feet. Is that right?
I apologize if I said 150. It's 100 feet, within 100
Okay.
feet of the fire department connection.
A fire hydrant is what you're looking for within 100 feet of the FDC. Is that right?
Yeah, and the reason behind that is the fire truck will pull up and have to hook the hydrant and then turn around and hook right into the fire department connection to pressurize and help bolster the system in the event of a building fire.
Excellent. That makes sense. I'm just doing a quick dimension on my screen. It looks like we have 91 feet to the closest fire hydrant from the FDC at the northeast corner of the building. So we can double check that, but it looks like what you're saying is meets what we show. So
Yeah, it should, if putting the fire riser or you want to say the fire department connection in that corner isn't a problem with your building layout, as you'll start looking at building plans. Oftentimes those fire risers are in a back corner or whatever else. So just have that in mind, and by all means call if you get questions or stuff as you get looking into it. Happy to walk through it with you.
excellent. Okay. Just out of curiosity, is a separate fire riser room required, or is that not a?
Yeah, well, it's all kind of one thing. Assuming it'll be a sprinkler building,
Yes.
then you'll have the fire line will come in from the city system under the ground and turn 90 degrees and come up into the building against one of the exterior walls. And that's where the fire riser starts. And part of the fire riser is where the fire department connection plumbs in. You might say downstream from a backflow preventer to boost that system. So sometimes they have what they call remote FDC, where the riser might be on one end, the FDC is on a different end. That's also an option we can discuss going forward. There's a few other little dominoes that fall with that one, but at this point in the game, we're not concerned about too much so far.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
You bet.
Any other questions, Andrew?
No, this was very straightforward. Thank you.
Okay. Couple of things. Diane, did you say you got the cost estimates? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. And I may have gotten an old submission or something, but one of the documents I have was actually prepared by Anderson Wallen and Associates. Is that supposed to be part of this packet?
I'm trying to look through which of the documents that was. I believe they're the civil engineer for the landlord. And so in some of the coordinations we were working on, there's some site work they want us to do that's outside of our property area, specifically directly to our north. You can kind of see that highlighted on our site plan. There's a little box. So I think they prepared a preliminary design, but it'll be under our plans, our permits that we actually add striping and asphalt, et cetera, to that area. So sorry for that confusion.
No problem, except for their plan is not correct. So it would probably be best to have them either revise, and what I'm looking at is, that's why I'm not sure if I got an old sheet or, but it's dated February 8th of 2022, and it's sheet A. And it shows buildings that don't really exist yet. It shows buildings A, B, C, and D to the east of your proposed building, and those buildings don't exist. It also flips your proposed site. It has your building on the west side instead of the east side. So that, if it's an old one, then we just need to make sure that I just need to know, so I take it out and label it properly. But if that was included in this packet, or if that's kind of part of your active application, we need to have them redo that so that it matches.
Yeah, I would say I can't find that in any of our submittal items, so that may have been something that slipped in somewhere. I just can't find. I'm looking at our link right now when we submitted, so I would say that's fine to remove. That's definitely not part of our design. If the building looks different, that's definitely an old design, and if it was February of 2022, yeah, that would not be accurate. So I think it's fine to remove altogether.
Okay, the only reason why I'm asking is because on your site plan that's labeled SE1,
Mhm.
it does show that there's two existing buildings to the east of you, and they do not exist.
Right,
So
yes, we
that's why I
should.
want to make sure that everything matches.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think it's, yeah, probably our civil engineer took that from the proposed engineer's plan, so we should remove the existing references. Absolutely, we'll do that.
All right. Rob, do you have comments you'd like to?
Well, this project is pretty straightforward. I hear it pretty thoroughly and look through big red flags. So, located pretty centralized within the Amsource development, so as long as, you know, the flow of traffic in and out works with the adequate amount of ingress and egresses, I think it's all looking pretty good.
You have everything you need as far as the underground stuff goes?
Don't have the, I haven't submitted full construction drawings to us yet. So I haven't been able to review it in very much detail as far as the underground goes. But I do see that they're coming off the east with the water main and heading towards kind of tractor supply down towards Popetas with sewer. As far as I can tell, that all should work.
Okay.
I just have a question on. So we have a path that goes out towards the to the east through the mixed use development. I was just curious, once that traffic goes through the mixed use development, this would be a next property. Is that pedestrian traffic going through this area? Is it going through the north? Do you remember? Sure, I remember if we had a path that went from the mixed use development to the highway.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure who's speaking or what is being pointed to. Trying to take a look at the site plan, but I can only see the podium.
Okay. Yeah, this is the Ryan Snom, the city manager. So I'm off camera.
Oh, okay. And you're referring to, just trying to take a look on the site plan itself, a access aisle to the,
Actually,
where would that be?
Referring to, and I'm not really seeing it, that it would extend into the parking lot. We have plans for path to come down through the mixed use development that's further east than the east area where it shows that those existing buildings are that really aren't there.
Right.
But further east of that, if you look on the vicinity map that's in the upper right-hand corner,
Sure.
that very, very east development there on it, there's going to be, we made sure that there would be access, vehicle and pedestrian access coming through that development, and so it can come down into your development. So you can have pedestrian access as easily as you can others, but I'm not really seeing, it actually looks like it's going to come down more on the north side or south side of the site, Ryan, if it lines up with parking that I think it lines up with this west park or this north parking or south parking.
This existing building down to the south here.
Right. I
Okay.
think the comment I can add to this is kind of going back to what the landlord and their civil engineer had provided to us as they show existing, but right, they're proposed. And I went on site about a month ago. Yeah, there's nothing there. This is just all dirt. So, well, the intent was to make sure that we could provide future access to and from and provide that drive aisle that you see on the upper right hand of the screen right now, which would go east, west, and then cars could then come north, south. But as far as what's there now and providing full access, everything would come from the west or, yeah, would come from the west or would come down the north-south drive aisle on the east side, because we're not planning to put in that full north-south road on the east side. So all the access would be either on the west, which is where the cursor is right now, or would be coming kind of in front of the Dollar Tree where that is. To the, just a little bit to the east. They would be coming down through that drive aisle. So I think to answer the question of what we're showing or what's proposed or access, we are showing building that square area right below the cursor for future access so that cars can comfortably come in and out and there's full access, etc. But we don't know or have plans for building anything out since we're just leasing this property. I don't know if that helps answer some questions.
But everything that you've got that's kind of shaded in your parking lot part, you are adding that, right? So you are adding that one little square to the east of you.
Yes. Yeah, for future, because again, it's kind of hard to see, but just to the left, of the cursor, there's a property line boundary. And in the negotiations with the landlord, they said, yeah, we want you to provide this so that you have access out to the east so cars can exit and potentially either go left or right. So we'll provide that access. And then in the future, they would build those existing buildings that you see that aren't currently there. And they would build the rest of the access ways to extend it all the way to the east and all the way to the south, however far it would go. But yes, we are putting that square in, and we are putting in all of the parking lot to the north that currently is kind of, I don't know if you've been on site or can see the Google images, but it's kind of like a diagonal asphalt area.
Right.
So we'll be filling it in to look how the site plan is shown.
Okay.
Yes. So it'll be a complete pad and lot.
Where the existing south building is, that is the WOW's the next meter building, right?
I don't know if I don't think that one's there either. I think that one is not the what is it?
Yeah.
Farms, the Tractor Supply. I don't think that one's the Tractor Supply. I think it's even further south across that existing basin,
Yes.
if I recall.
This is the gap between the mixed use development. There's a gap between the mixed use development and where Chick-fil-A is going. And AmSource, their preliminary plans show, or their conceptual plans show 4 buildings there. And these are 2 of those 4 buildings that are coming from that. You'll come into the mixed use and then you'll get 4 buildings, 4 future buildings that AmSource is planning for, and then you get Chick-fil-A.
Right.
And then Tractor Supply is kind of over here where in the bottom right-hand corner where the keynote stuff is. That's kind of where Tractor Supply's, well, yeah, that's about where Tractor Supply is sitting. So, and then the WOW building will be above that. When do you anticipate you'll have the construction drawings for the actual grading and underground work available, Andrew?
Well, I think it would be, again, Chick-fil-A's not on the call. They're not in office right now, but I think if they were in a place to say they feel comfortable as far as legal approvals go, internal approvals, etc., to be able to move forward right now, it would probably take about 6 to 8 weeks to put together the full set of permit plans. So the city would see them in about 8 or so weeks. This would be my guess.
Honestly, we don't generally approve a site plan when we haven't even seen the underground construction plans. We usually at least they're usually within just a few minutes of coming to us, not the full structural plans. I'm talking about the civil site work plans.
So are you just referring to utilities? Because utilities are drawn on the screen for conceptual purposes, but as far as grading and those types of plans go, if the site plan is subject to change, and for example, a city doesn't want a building in a certain location, so it moves to the other side of the lot, or there's some reason for setbacks and issues there, usually the civil team won't start, spending all the money on grading plans because it's subject to change. They'll usually wait until some sort of site plan approval is received, so they know the site isn't going to move, and then they'll start grading. Is that what you're referring to, grading plans or those utilities?
Well, for drainage and utilities, the construction drawing, as you mentioned, we were kind of looking at these conceptually. Conceptually, yeah, they were great. But as you might notice on your site plan here, you've got it labeled as existing water meter to remain, existing 8-inch water main to remain. Those aren't actually extended out that far yet. So I assumed your construction drawing would clarify that where those things really do need to tie into the existing. That's all in that vicinity. So conceptually, it works really well. It shouldn't be hard to make these utility drainages work. For the stormwater, the same thing.
Yeah. Well, we do have, I will just add that we did submit with our submittal a drainage study and a grading plan. So again, they're not finalized for permits. We also have a SWIP accompanied with our plans. So those, I think those are what the city's looking for, to see connections and to see grades and where things are going and how the stormwater is going to connect, and all the data provided with that. So we did provide that. I think that's what you're looking for, but I could be wrong. And it's not what's on the screen. That's just a site and conceptual utility plan, but there is a drainage study and a grading plan also provided.
So are you planning on doing the offsite extensions to get to those water lines that don't really exist yet?
No, that'll be by the landlord. The landlord will be stubbing all of the utilities, including the water and the sewer, to our property lines. They'll get permits for those. And then we will just connect inside of our property lines. That's how the landlord and the applicant Chick-fil-A has negotiated their lease agreements. So
that makes it a little difficult for us. I know we kind of got a chicken and an egg thing going on, but we actually need to see your landlord's plans to make sure that that's all going to happen so that we can. I mean, we don't want to permit something and have you get down the road and then not be able to have it happen because your landlord isn't doing what they're supposed to. We just don't want to get in the middle of that.
right.
So I'm in a little bit of a quandary.
That's probably why it shows these buildings. Well, in other words, Amsource has got grants to plan. Existing buildings and how they're going to grab utilities, all of these little grand
Right.
scheme plans, but we haven't seen that plan.
Yeah. So I guess I would be willing to say that we could consider this site plan conditionally, and then conditionally enough that you could move forward to get us the plans that we need to be able to give you final approval. Does that make sense to you?
I think so. I think from our perspective, one of the things we just try to confirm is from a site plan layout perspective, does the operation, does the circulation, does the setbacks, does the building location, do all those things look good in the city's eyes? And are we okay both by landlord's perspective to do utilities and then by the applicant's perspective, are we okay to move into permits? And I think at that time, the landlord would say, okay, and we would say, the site plan is locked down. You're not really going to be moving major items in the site plan. Let's get let's get those utility designs, let's get the permits for those, and then we can proceed into building permits after. Does that sound like what the city is looking for or willing to do?
Well, I'm willing to say that this site plan looks like it will work really well. I don't see any problems with it as far as current zoning, setbacks, the amount of parking required, all of that type of thing. But I do think we need to reserve the right to say if for some reason, once you or the landlord start actually designing or actually doing the construction drawings for the underground work and the grading plan, if something changes that may impact this would have to change. If anything on those construction drawings, which I don't anticipate that, but I think that we would have to, the construction drawings would either have to be forced to meet this, or this might have to be modified to meet what can actually be built when you get your grading and everything narrowed down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can say that with the landlord's plans and with our plans and with existing conditions, we've worked really closely to make sure we know what we're going to design as far as the construction set of plans goes. So I think we're very close. I guess in my mind, what are you seeing might be a concern? Is it more so like the wet utilities, like water and sewer and storm? Is that kind of what you're thinking what might need to be tweaked?
Yes, actually, those are the very things that I'm kind of thinking. I don't know, Rob may have more, but those are the kind of things that I'm thinking, particularly where you're not right on top of it, but you are really close to those wetlands, and so we don't have a lot of disturbance room on that south side of you.
Got
So
it. Okay.
you can make sure that everything is going to be able to come into play and not disturb areas that it shouldn't.
Okay.
It's true, and you've got a lot of stuff on this site plan that's not truly there yet, and but you're not the one responsible to get it put in and put it in those particular locations, so it's hard to properly approve in that status.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So I think what I'm hearing is we need to coordinate with the landlord to see what's currently there, what's installed, and then make sure that our designs can match what this is. If not, we could touch base and kind of go from there if there's any kind of minor or major tweaks. But this is helpful. Yeah, that makes sense.
So what I actually would kind of like, what I would like to do, and Rob can totally change, and I'll throw this out for a suggestion. I would suggest that we continue this for 2 weeks for you to be able to get with the landlord so that we can get some kind of a time frame on when we can expect those other plans to be submitted, because we do not want to have you up and ready trying to get going and not have adequate plans in-house for you to get going on that are outside of your control. If you were controlling it all of the plans, that might be a little bit different, but where your landlord is controlling part of them, I think we need to have you pin them, get us a date when we could anticipate seeing those plans in our in-house.
Okay.
How do you feel about that, Rob?
It's a wonderful way to go after this one. I think that makes a lot of sense.
I don't think it should really hold you up on moving forward with what you want, because like I said, zoning wise, parking lot wise, all of that type of stuff, this looks really good. But where it's saying that certain things exist that don't exist, until we know that they can actually exist there, I'm a little nervous about giving you final approval on it, but I am certainly willing to say conditional approval that when we get those dates or when we get those other plans and see that existing stuff is going to work, then you could move forward at that point, or you can move a little closer to forward. But it sounds like you don't even have your structural plans ready yet, or do you?
No, we don't start any of that until, usually we don't start any of that until we get assurance from the jurisdiction that the site plan layout is good and the building size and building location wouldn't move, those types of things. So this would be our time when we'd start. I think what I'm hearing is that the site layout and setbacks, et cetera, is all good. Personally, I feel peace because I'm looking at the survey, which would be different than the site plan we're looking at. There is a storm drain, an active storm drain running through our property line. There's a sewer line stubbed to our property line, and we would just need to extend the existing water line from the northeast corner down south. That's what the landlord would do. So I don't think there will be any problem with utilities and stubbing those 3 wet utilities to us. But if it would, I guess if it would provide more peace of mind to the city, I don't think I have reservations with doing any sort of conditional approval. And I think that the landlord could provide something within the next week or 2 that would provide some more assurance.
Okay. Then, I move that this plan appears to meet all the requirements. However, without some of the defined detail we need from construction drawings from a third party, I don't feel like we can give final approval, but I am willing to give conditional approval. I motion that we would give conditional approval and sort of continue it at the same time. And hopefully we will have something from AmSource in 2 weeks that we can reconsider, and maybe that at that point we could give final approval for this. And then while we wait and review those construction drawings from the third party. So does that motion make sense? Ty, did you get that motion? Okay. It was rambling. I'm sorry.
I'll go back and make sure and phrase it, yeah. Okay.
You did that okay, Rob?
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Before do you want to make any comments or anything, Andrew, you or anybody on your team before Rob and I vote?
No, thank you.
Anybody in house? Aaron, Diane, anybody? Okay, that being said, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. So we will reconvene here in a couple of weeks, and we'll look forward to hearing from you sooner than that, Andrew, on kind of a time frame, or else you can have the third party contact us directly and let us know what to expect, so that we can be a little bit more comfortable in giving you final approval. How's that?
That sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Okay. We have no other business items on our agenda, so unless there's something that someone feels we should put on a future agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Rob Stapley. I'll second it. All in favor?